Hello, everyone. Welcome to the ACTO podcast. In this third season, we'll be talking with tech communities in Portugal. And today we will talk with Miriam and Cristina. Welcome, you both. So they are here representing two very important communities, As Raparigas do Código and Women4Cyber Portugal. These two communities share a common theme, that is inclusion, but besides inclusion, both it seems that you also share some friendship. I don't know if I'm right or not. So maybe we can start with some introductions, and then you can tell us how you met each other, and if that also influenced how these tech communities growth, and if you got some inspiration from each other. I don't know who wants to go first, Miriam or Cristina.
Miriam. I can go first. Sure. Okay. So my name is Miriam. Welcome, everyone. Actually, my background is in biomedical engineering. Then I specialized for clinical informatics and bioinformatics. But I fell in love with data science and machine learning along the way. And then I pursued my PhD on it. I actually graduated this year, so yay. Yeah, I've worked in academia for a couple of times, research, teaching, and now I moved to the industry. So I'm currently working as a data advocate for Y Data. I'm also running another community, which is the data-centric AI community. But it was along the way of my PhD that I created As Raparigas do Código. So I met Cristina in one of our events, which was the first edition of the tech community get together. We get around a lot of tech communities in tech. I found Women4Cyber through a mutual friend, which is the ambassador of Women in Tech Portugal. Claudia Silva. So we had that connection, and we get along right away. We do the same ideas, the same alignment, the same values, and that's how we became friends. Actually,
super cool.
So we actually met in this get together organized in one single week by As Raparigas do Código, which per se it's already an inspiration. How did I get into cyber security? So my bachelor, it's actually in tourism, and I was looking for traveling the world, getting to know other cultures, etc. Then I realized that would be a very boring job in the sense of you would be pretty much doing the same all over the chains you would be working on. So I switched for business, in this case, international management. And it's exactly where I discovered the startup world. It was in Isqueté. They had Audax at the time. So I got to know a CPO, and she was sharing the details of her product, that she was a co-founder. And that was when I envisioned myself working in the technology field. So once I finished the master's, I enrolled in an IT company as a support engineer, or customer success representative, as they called it at the time, the fancy name. And it was when I discovered the cybersecurity. So while helping others to solve their problems, I realized how not safe sometimes we are for many high numbers of reasons, and that's why I then moved to the company where I am now, and I am working currently as a UX consultant for cybersecurity topics, as well as a lead program manager for a global program that is working with cybersecurity and IT in this multinational company. I co-founded last year Women4Cyber Portugal with an amazing team, with many different profiles, people with 20 years in cybersecurity, people enrolling right now. And we are a very young organization, but it's growing fast, and here we are today.
So no, thank you for that. I think that's actually the perfect segue for us to understand a little bit better both communities, right? So Women4Cyber Portugal and As Raparigas do Código. I think that the names are a little bit kind of self-explanatory, but I think that hearing from both of you exactly kind of what's the mission of each community, I think that's definitely could be very inspiring for us to hear. So maybe you can go first, Cristina, because we're already kind of giving some hints on Women4Cyber.
Yes. So the reason why we came up with Women4Cyber Portugal come from the foundation that is headquartered in Belgium, the Women4Cyber Foundation, and the need is the need of these specific organizations. In this case, organizations, because we are talking about a foundation in Belgium and the different chapters along Europe. Mm-hmm. It's because we have only a representation of 7%, according to the World Bank, of women working currently in the different fields of cybersecurity. And although there is a huge lack of workforce available to work in this field, so everyone is looking for different specialists for the different matters, the truth is that not only there is no women, as women do not seem to be interested in working on cybersecurity associated with the not very accurate ideas that you have of what is to work in cybersecurity. That is very related with the caveman coding and cracking things, and sooner or later will be in jail. So it's not very attractive for some.
Exactly.
But also, if you think, you can only become what you see, what you can imagine. If you don't see women working in cybersecurity on television, on debates, on the public forums, how will young girls think about, maybe this could be something for me in the future, So this is why we came up. And our goal is then to promote, encourage, support the participation of women in cybersecurity from all age ranges. So we support from redirection of career in a later stage, or we do help girls to digitalize themselves more, as girls are usually less digital because of several reasons, but than boys. And so we do support in very different ages. And that's our mission. Yeah.
A minority inside a minority, right? Because just like you said, and very well, cybersecurity as a profile is already a little bit unusual, right? Like there is definitely a need for professionals like that. And now if you even apply then the gender on top of that, then obviously it becomes even smaller. I completely agree. What about you, Miriam, and As Raparigas do Código?
Yes, so I feel like Cristina touched a very important point. So what are the communities and what was the main drive to create them? As Raparigas do Código essentially is based on the pillar of education. That's our main objective. We're not a school or a bootcamp program, but we do offer free cycles of workshops for women based in Portugal. So this is kind of a national group. And we do it from programming languages to career guidance and mentorship, which is also an important part of being in the tech world. We try to create like a diverse range of topics and difficulty levels, because we want to keep up with our students' needs and with our progression. It's also a non-profit organization, same as Women4Cyber, and it's completely run by volunteers. So everything we do it for the fun.
A lot of free time.
Yeah. The main drive to create this. Well, I believe a lot of us had the same idea, that we were at a point where most communities for women were dedicated to professionals that were already in the field. So they were trying to create some networking opportunities, meetups, and so on. And even the activities that were designed for girls, they were based on awareness campaigns, which is fine, which is needed. But there's a saying that goes, what I hear, I forget, what I see, I remember, what I do, I understand. And this was the main basis to kick off things based on education. So our objective was to really make women and girls understand that technology, it is a possibility for them, and it can be exciting. Because also some things that most volunteers said when they entered the project was that the angle to convince girls to join tech careers perhaps was not the best. You would say something like, "Oh, you don't have to code to be in tech," or "You can have your work-life balance. I can still have kids while also working in tech." And I mean, a 15-year-old is not thinking about having kids at the moment. It is true that tech careers don't have to be completely technical. We also can discuss what is technical or not, because this can be controversial, okay?
Yeah.
But our goal was to allow women to really experience coding, technical paths without prejudice or like the underlying idea that maybe this is not an option that I will enjoy. Yes, you can enjoy code. Yes, you can enjoy very technical things. You can explore so many other opportunities. But the first thing is to get your fingers on the keypad and start seeing if it works for you, if you like it. Yeah, so that was the main space.
Yeah. I really like something that Cristina mentioned, which I believe it's really important, which is showing more patterns like this, because I believe that it's missing for continue to build this community for women. Because yeah, at the end of the day, we can only be what we can see right around us, and that's end up by influencing our paths. And now I'm curious. So looking for today, I don't know what have been the hot topics for your communities. So we're already conscious about these differences and what are we fighting for, but has been other particular hot topics that you have been discussing lately?
So in our case, apart from, as you mentioned, the gender equality, it's actually a huge link among all of us, and all of us. It's very important to highlight women and men, because we do have men, and the Raparigas Código also do share this vision in our teams. We want to have a complete diverse environment, and we really need the help of everyone to make the change. So related with the cybersecurity, so we do understand cybersecurity as a whole. So it's not just the engineer, the technical roles, as also Miriam was mentioning. We do have legal roles that is very critical in order to have the policies that then we'll be following later. HR matters, educational parts that is very important for not only companies but also population to be better informed and have a higher digital literacy. The cyber attacks that we also like to explore a little bit, but obviously this is the trends, what is coming, which technologies are also coming, and it's basically what we discuss among us, and depend of obviously who works in which specialties within cybersecurity, because once again, it's not just engineering, technical, very technical. There are a bunch of roles that you can do in cybersecurity.
Especially because lots of the attacks are around social engineering, isn't it? Like, at least that's one of my understanding, is that besides all the zeros and ones that people need to understand, or some need to understand, we would be really surprised about the number of attacks that just happen because someone gets, that email or text message at the wrong time, and someone just gives a password away, then all of a sudden.
Indeed. And you know that there are roles that there are people whose jobs are going to companies and try to get through their human securities and leave routers, plug stuff on their networks, try to get information, this kind of stuff that supposedly, according with the policies, are definitely not allowed. Definitely not.
I imagine so.
But with their social skills, they can arrange to do that. And this information, these tests, for instance, are then used, for instance, to rank how cyber safe is that company. Also, for later, investors do decide if they want to put their money in or not. So there are so many roles that you can perform within cybersecurity. That is also why there is this need of having only focus area organization, because it's not just about learning how to code. That is very important, once again, and very needed, but also all the rest that is associated with a cyber safe environment, if you want to put it like that.
No, for sure.
Makes sense.
Well, for us, our community mostly includes like graduate students, young professionals, and a lot of women looking for reskilling opportunities and upskilling opportunities. So the hot topics among our students are those that can get them a career in tech faster. So this is OutSystems, Agile, Scrum, and QA careers, web programming, because front-end development is one of the Kickstarter topics for women to enter the tech world. Python and data science, they're always in high demand right now. And outside programming, these soft skills and other types of complementary skills, such as empowerment, effective communication, salary negotiation, career management. So how to make up a good CV, how to conduct yourself during an interview. And all of this is very important, since most of our students don't have experience yet, or they feel so unempowered to ask for a raise or negotiate conditions, that we need to train them so they feel empowered to do so. These are the hot topics that we cover at the moment. Yeah.
Also, let me build on, people are very much looking for mentorship. It's a really important thing, and it's something that usually these kind of communities, not only Women4Cyber, Raparigas do Código, but many others can also offer to women, so they can, and mentorship can support in all the topics that also Miriam was mentioning, but like even
socially
life
support, emotionally supporting people, empowering them.
How even they can enroll in this kind of careers, how they can evolve for management positions, for instance. It's also something that people usually look for, this kind of support, and also obviously the tips to find better or different jobs.
No, for sure. One thing that was mentioned that it really resonates is the need for allyship. Obviously, when we talk about women in technology, especially in Portugal, I think there are a couple of names that really comes to mind. I think the one that is fairly popular is definitely Cristina, one of the founders of TalkDesk, and someone extremely successful in the space. And I think that those sort of personalities are super interesting, from an inspiration point of view, from kind of seeing that someone did it as well, so I can do that too, and kind of, some sort of kind of role model or example or something along those lines. But one thing that was said here as well that is super important is that at least when we're talking about gender, if we think that this is just a women problem and that men don't need to be involved, I think that we are missing a big part here. Because exactly, I think that the more men can be involved and contribute towards communities that are focusing in increasing, the number of women in a given field, and this, in our case, technology, I think that we can be much more successful, because it means that the problem is not just a women problem, is everyone's problem, and hence really a much more powerful call to action, in my opinion.
Yes, Pedro, and let me also add that is not only from the social point of view that you were mentioning, but it's also from the business side of view, because companies that actually have a more balanced workforce in every point of view, a more diverse workforce, also outperform that the companies that are mainly homogeneous in terms of the people who are working in. So this is also a business advantage, clear business advantage in terms of reporting results in the end of the year, which in the end it's what companies are here for. They have more people on the table discussing the topics, and it's very natural, because in the end every single person with a different background, with different experience, brings different solutions, creativity, the creativity of the solutions that come out of that discussion are usually more rich.
That's almost the answer for the question that I had here for both of you. That is, why is equity, diversity, inclusion so important? Why should companies care? And I think that you, Cristina, you are pretty much hitting the nail right in the head, and really kind of showing that companies are more competitive. I completely agree. I don't know, Miriam, if you have anything to add in terms of the importance of diversity.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if everyone really knows what diversity, equity, and inclusion means. Right. Diversity basically means being seen, being invited to a table where people are discussing things. Then the inclusion means that you have a voice in that table, that you get to share your perspective and you get to share your experience, even if that means talking about uncomfortable things, which is often a pain point when we are talking about gender, racial, and other issues. And equity means that voice, that expression, that experience is valued, that voice was heard and will be considered from then on. And as Cristina was saying, that is so important because it is proven that diverse groups are collectively more intelligent and can create creative and innovative solutions. That's really the key. Diversity will always foster innovation because you can just overcome individual experiences and individual blind spots that we have on each other. It's normal. And this is not just about ticking boxes or getting the numbers or, fitting in just to say that you did it. It's about culture, which is something we have been talking about a lot in a couple of the past years, culture, behavior. And so, yes, companies need to foster this type of cultures, not because they want to get their names out there or get the numbers, but because they truly understand the impact that has on growth, on innovation, and on potentially creative solutions.
That's super cool, because one thing that it said in my company, and it really resonates with me, is that diversity is important because that's exactly how the world is. That's exactly how our customers are, and that's exactly how our users are. And so if a company can represent how the world is, and the end user and the customers, it will be much closer to the people that are really consuming the product and really understanding, solving problems, needs, and so on and so forth. And hence this diversity being so interesting.
You just remember you were saying that's how the world is. I remember like a book I saw recently. It was a kid's book, actually. And the king was like a blue king. And he started looking at his kingdom, and there were a lot of colors. And he said, oh, I don't want this. I just want the blue people in my kingdom. Send the others away. But then the king wanted a palace, and the yellow people were the ones that make better pallets. And then the king wanted a boat or like a ship, and the red people were the one that made the better ships. And so he started to add everyone to his kingdom again. And when he looked back on it, he said, oh, it's so wonderful that I have such a multitude of skills and abilities in my kingdom. And yeah, that's like a trick, a fun way of showing how diversity fosters this kind of amazingness that we can create just with a king and its colors, I guess.
Bonus points if you can tell the name of the book, or send us at the end, because I would love to take a look at it.
I'll look for it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, but I loved also the way that you explained the three points. I think it was very, very clear for everyone to understand what we are talking about here. So thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
And now I have a question for Cristina, and I think then we will get a question for Miriam. So for Cristina, I would like to ask all of us as online adventurers that go through all the websites and buy stuff and do all types of things, how safe are we nowadays from a security standpoint?
Well, it depends a lot if we're talking about individuals or organizations, right? And probably the individuals that are listening our podcast are probably safer than the rest of the others, because their digital literacy are probably higher than our grandparents, for instance. So it really depends of who we are talking about. And this topic of the digital literacy that we start to listen a lot is critical, so everyone can be more or less trustful when trust in this case that being not trusting in everything that they receive online, or not on their SMS that are challenging people to unlock some package somewhere in the world, right? So in this case, I would say that for every single one of us, a password manager is quite a nice thing to have in our desktop and our personal mobile phones. Avoiding the public Wi-Fi, obviously, use VPNs, avoid sharing personal information online in any platform. And this is very, 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 not very obvious, but very important. Also, to be very attentive in terms of downloads, the links you received from your mother. That is, it's also or your father or your grandfather or whatever. It's also it's very important. On an organizational level, I think that it's very important organizations to really invest on having a chief information security officer, what we call a CISO. It's something that we don't see a lot here in small medium enterprise here in Portugal, sure. But you really need to consider it. Ideally, having a direct report to the COO. This is something that we see that really enhances and promotes efficient, full cybersecurity strategy. Also, this cybersecurity strategy needs to be very connected with the business itself and the profile of the people who are working in the company. So tailor-made for the people that they have in working in the different departments, because it's not only the engineers, it's also the person who is on the building receiving the people. As you can see, many things can happen just by crossing that first door. Then obviously it's also important to highlight that during the pandemic, things really changed quite a lot in terms of cybersecurity awareness, the need of increasing the patterns within the different companies. Although this year, during the conferences that I attended, many people were mentioning that there is still a great lack of business continuity plans. So people took measures to be more protected, but they do not understand that it's impossible to be 100% protected. So it is important to consider that, okay, we were attacked, so how we are going to keep going with the business. And this business continuity plan is having a plan B, plan C, accordingly with the different scenarios that can happen in a cyber attack. And obviously, also important to say that as much as this business continuity plan, it has higher quality, the faster you can keep going with your business and recovery from a cyber attack. So it's really a big deal and can really save you money. And you CTOs that are listen to us, that can really save you money and save your company's results from the year, for instance.
Yeah. No, for sure.
I'd just like to add a few things, more like in a social, funny kind of way. I think literacy is really important. So sometimes my mom asks me, what shall I do? I have like a package coming. Did you order anything? Oh, no, I didn't, but it says here that I need to do something unless my package won't arrive. You didn't order absolutely anything. And same with my grandparents and so on. So I think people really need to be educated towards these kinds of matters. And also, as Cristina was saying, the people that work on some type of organization, there are funny stories of this guy who did a physical penetration hacking to a company. I don't know if it was Vodafone or something, just by getting his wife to call there and say that they had an appointment to check something in the networking. His wife worked in customer support, so she had a lingo, she had all of the talk, the smooth talking, And he got there actually with some merchandising he got in some music festival that Vodafone was giving away. He entered the building and he installed the router, and it was done. So this had nothing to do with coding per se. It was just a way of socially getting around people that often don't question things. And the same for emails. So you are always getting phishing emails. Once a week, someone really dies, or like there's a king in Africa that wants to offer me like a huge amount of money. I've been telling him I don't need it, but they always keep saying that they have such a big heart and they want the soul to contribute. And there's actually a super funny TED talk, which is what happens when you answer a spam email. And this guy dedicated himself to answering those type of emails, and it's funny as heck, because at some point he says like, "Oh, we shouldn't call ourselves by the name, so I'm going to start calling you Kit Kat, and you are going to start calling me Snickers from now on." And this is how they communicate, and it's super funny. I'll send you the link because you gotta track it.
No. Oh God, no, I imagine. No, crazy.
Yeah, even me, I have some stories, but it's so easy for us to get tricked in something, and then at some point you realize, wait, this is sounding strange. Let me think about it. So I think it's good for us to continue to talk about this, because this will raise our attention for small details and question things around us. So yeah, I think it's really important, and it's good that we are talking about this here. So thank you.
No, for sure. And by the way, I don't know if you know, football leagues start exactly with an email and clicking a link and giving access to to Rui Pinto. It is on a Netflix documentary, and you can see that. And also, if you want to be exposed to some sort of kind of of social attack, just for the sake of it, for the fun of it, just put an ad on OLX selling something. You don't even need to have it. Let's say that you're selling your monitor or a table that you don't even have. It is extremely likely that in the first 10 minutes, you're getting a call for someone that, without seeing the item, is completely ready to pay. And the only thing is that it can only pay if you do something with an MBWay or MBNet, because it needs to be paid right now, because he needs an invoice to be sent to God knows who. And in that sort of moment of pressure, it is extremely likely that some people just click here or there on the phone, and as soon as you notice your account.
Even on Vinted, I've heard there's a fake Vinted account that supposedly is from the company itself, that says that you have to make this type of payment so they can verify it and so on. There you go. People that don't have any type of education for this type of thing are very vulnerable. And yeah, that is a direct contribution that we can make.
Especially when it involves money, right?
Mm-hmm. And MBWay accounts, something like this. You need to give me your number, and then you go to the bank, and then you send me the code that appears on the screen, because then I can activate your MBWay account. And people actually do this because they don't have any type of idea if this is okay or not. Yeah.
We are actually talking about very somehow basic types of tricking people, but the truth is that, and we are talking all about this, but we are all vulnerable at a certain point, because a high number of studies shows that as much tired or stressed we are, and we do all have stressed and demanding jobs, more vulnerable we are in clicking in this kind of links. So it's not just the people who have a lower digital literacy, obviously, that they are indeed more vulnerable, but many times they are already afraid and they don't click on anything. We are more confident that we know how to, and we straight away. So it's really something that every single one of us working in technology, even in cybersecurity, the ranks of people clicking on things that shouldn't not be clicking are surprisingly high. It's really related with how tired you are, how stressful you are, and obviously that this kind of things are getting better, are getting more sophisticated. It's not like every year, every attack, things are being more trustful somehow. So they really are good on their jobs too.
They learn, of course, yeah.
And now shifting the conversation a little bit on the upskilling and reskilling on As Raparigas do Código. I think it's fair to say if we take a look to 2022, I think that from a technology standpoint, we saw a little bit of everything. I think that we saw beginning of the year like salaries spiking like crazy. Tons of people. Great resignation, people changing jobs, getting increases of God knows how many percent, and it was all over LinkedIn, right? Like I felt bad if I was not moving to the new company. Oh my God, am I missing out something? Right? It was that hot, and then all of a sudden, we start seeing the economy recession. We saw the war. We saw so many things that definitely changed the way that things got perceived. That all of a sudden now it's not all about hiring, because we were hiring like crazy, paying tons of money. Then we saw layoffs being made by so many companies, right? Even Meta and Google, that are these Microsoft, that are this sort of companies that are so well established, and even them saying, look, we're going to lay off some people. That's how it works now. And Netflix, things that were pretty much unthinkable, right? Like I'm pretty sure that even, let's say, Netflix is an extremely successful company. If you take a look to our TV remote control, most likely to have the Netflix button is how crazy things are, right? As the company is established, and those sort of companies laying off people. Now imagine that obviously, any sort of SMB or companies that are way more exposed and more fragile from economy standpoint. I wonder, Miriam, how all of this affected, your mission of reskilling and upskilling, because with all this hiring and then firing, did this somehow affected, the people that are in your community, the interests of the students, or do you think that regardless of all this storm, things got pretty stable on your end?
Yeah, I think people got a little bit stressed and insecure about their current jobs, and so the looking for opportunities to upskill their profiles is noticeable. Yeah. We also noted that a lot of boot camps and schools were trying to create partnerships with companies that can guarantee that those students will be enrolled in some sort of internship, or they have the first year they don't have to pay the school, and then they can get financed and pay afterwards. Always in touch with communities to look for highly engaged individuals, and to have a community that can support students during those long boot camps, because sometimes they take 8 months or 9 months or a year long, and it's hard for people who are working at the same time to keep engaged and don't give up. I think that it is the main problem of boot camps and reskilling paths right now. Everyone is complaining about the same, that students just give up. Focus on the marketing technologies that have the highest demand. So basically web programming and machine learning, I think, are the two top career paths right now for most boot camps. And then making an effort to connect students through networking events, soft skills, like how to write a good CV, how you can stand out in an interview. So getting them those tools and that training, so they can evidence themselves during an interview process. Another thing that we also try to do is to teach everyone how to start personal projects and learn how to advertise them and broadcast them fully, like contributing to open source, getting a cool GitHub repo, starting to connect with other developers, other communities, because you get most jobs by networking with the right people and not by blindly applications to whatever on LinkedIn and so on. And we also note a certain demand from students to not make a random boot camp, they want to be sure that will have a great impact on their lives, either success rates over 90% or something, accredited universities, partnerships with accredited universities. So rather than, okay, I'm just going to enroll this on Coursera or Google, whatever, they want to have a feel that this will be worth it. So yeah, basically getting everything, the environment that you need to be successful, but even still, it will depend on the particular jobs. Okay, COVID brought us remote work. Remote work brought us a lot of opportunities internationally. But it also creates a lot of competition. We have higher salaries but less positions, because the people who get these positions are very highly qualified professionals. They are paid well, but they are always overwhelmed sometimes and highly stressed. Sometimes money doesn't pay all, but
true.
Yeah, it's the reality.
Yeah, I would like to follow up on this topic about boot camps and courses, and even events in this world of women in tech, because we have been seeing communities like yours and others that have been created to raise this awareness of bringing more women to the tech world. But I wonder, at some point, couldn't we be creating here some positive discrimination, and maybe start seeing women as less skilled or being recognized just on a woman event? So I always see these like, there are pros and cons. Do you find this is the right approach for us to reach at some point where human communities are no longer needed? So what's your view on this?
Yeah, well, my view, my very, very personal view on this is that when we normally talk about this, having like people communities instead of women communities and so on, it feels like a defense mechanism for someone who is uncomfortable talking about gender issues or racial issues and so on, because that's actually choosing a vague expression to deny the specificity that we do have a gender problem right now. Not only a gender problem, we do have racial problem. We have a lot of factors that I consider diverse or dimensions of difference that people are not seeing them as equally valued. So this is not about getting women to be positively discriminated or something. It's about not being blind or blind to the problems that we have. It's not just about increasing the numbers equally. It's about acknowledging that some people or some groups have a different experience and perspective on things. And don't say, okay, we are trying to be equal. No, we are not trying to be equal. We are trying to recognize what that particular type of group has to offer, what is their experience, what we can learn from it at all levels. So yeah, I think eventually it could be a possibility that we stop caring about these types of community, but that will only happen when we stop caring about the concepts of patriarchy, homophobia, racism, and so on don't make sense anymore. So until we reach that point, we will always have the need to, and even still, we will always have the need to recognize that people has a different voice, a different experience, a different perspective, something new to bring in tech, and bring them together. So this is not segregation. It's like we have a problem. I am particularly focused on this particular problem. Other people are focused on racial issues, on non-binary problems right now, with organizations just focused on getting opportunities for non-binary people, Black people, and so on. So this is my army, I guess. But there are others, and I think all are important. It's not just about positive discrimination.
Yes, Sara, and obviously I do agree that the dream would be all of these do not be necessary, because first of all, it takes lots of our personal hours, and secondly, because it would mainly mean that we would be in a equal society. And I think that it's important to say, when we say equal society, as Miriam was mentioning, is not that we are all equal in terms of our needs, in terms of our characteristics. It's that we are all equal in the amount and the quality of the opportunities we do have access on. This is the point when we call about equality. We want gender equality because we want that women and future leaders do have the same, are considered for the same positions than men, in the same level of advantage or disadvantage, but the gender not be the point of absolutely anything. Positive discrimination, if you want to say like that, it's a meta. It's not consensual. Indeed, we could be here discussing it for hours, but now I do believe that we do need this positive discrimination, because if we see the examples of the Nordic countries that actually implemented measures that pushed women to some positions, they now do not have this kind of issues, because it's just normalized in their societies. It's not even a topic as we are facing right now here. So the topic of quotas, the topic of in the same level of expertise and maturity do pick the women. It's just because we do need the girls to see these women out there, these women on the television, these women running business, as Cristina Fonseca were mentioned before, Pedro were doing before. Actually, I was in Web Summit this year, and I had the opportunity to attend some of her talks, and it's really a thing, the effect that these kind of examples have, not only in girls, but also in boys that start to also see themselves as being led by a woman. Is a normal thing. It's not a problem, and it's not even a topic. It's the person and their own characteristics, the individual itself, regardless of gender, that matters in the end. And this is obviously what we are working for.
Yes, it's the same issue with meritocracy. A lot of people actually try to hide behind that concept. But it's the same thing when the criteria, being fair with criteria does not mean having the same criteria for men and women, for instance. Because recall that, imagine that you are working on, okay, the best researcher is the one with the best papers. Yeah, but perhaps a man has a lot of more opportunities to get featured in an event or a webinar. It makes a lot of more connection, and that brings a lot of more opportunities for research and more papers. So we need to think what could be fair criteria for all. And when I normally talk about this, I usually compare it to a ride on the subway. If we are clubbing and we want to get home and catch the subway to our homes, what would be an experience of a white male? What would be an experience of a woman? Or what would be an experience of a black person? What do you fear? And normally when I ask this to the audience, the fears are very different from each other. And this is the same for our daily lives. We have different subway lines, different colors, different stops, different experiences. And the way we need to approach this is to be aware of someone else's experience and try to listen what do they have to say without imposing our own views or judgments over that ride, that experience. Yeah, it's just that. Listening.
Sure.
Thank you for those insights. Yeah.
No, for sure. And truth be told, I think that if we don't hack the current situation, sure, with the meritocracy that you just mentioned, maybe in 500 years, we actually can get to a fair society. But I think, that's just too long. And if we could definitely hack our way into, reach out to a point where everyone's equal, everyone has the same sort of means to achieve success, I think that it's completely worth it, And call it positive discrimination, call it quotas, call it whatever we want.
Call it fairness. Call it
exactly.
equity.
Exactly. We can lose ourselves in words, but at the end of the day, if we don't do anything, we just wait for nature to do, to correct the course. it will take forever. And so I don't
but
think that anyone
that's
should wait that
denying
long.
that over 500 years or more we have been living under a patriarchy. But I understand
Exactly.
that we need to do
Be
something.
ambitious. We need to be ambitious. So 500 years, it's not a very ambitious.
That's the thing. That's the thing, right? Like we definitely need to hack it to make it way sooner, for the benefit of everyone, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like Cristina said, we could be discussing this for 4 hours. It's a sensitive topic that,
Indeed.
it has been very insightful. But I would like to start landing the plane and go into the final questions to get to know you a bit better as well. I will start with the first one, and I think Pedro will grab the second one.
Sure.
Okay, so for you both, could you choose your favorite quote?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I have one quote that I say it's very much in Portuguese, so I'm not sure if the translation will
Love
be
it.
awesome.
Can be.
But it is my grandfather, a quote that he said that a lot in the end of his life, and he was saying that life is not as you want it to be, is how it introduces to itself, so how it happens. So the message is very clear in terms of you need to adapt, you need to see what you have on your table and work with that, and so but keep moving. This is definitely an inspiration. My grandfather, it's a great inspiration for me, actually both of them. Actually, all my role models are, in fact, in my family. Have to tell you, I'm very fortunate about that. My mom, my aunt, they are awesome. But this is the quote that is always on top of my mind.
Yeah, I don't have so much as a quote. It's like a little mantra I say to myself sometimes when I'm feeling overwhelmed or when I don't know what to do, or if I'm not sure what would be the right thing to do. It's just remembering that what I am, what I should do is always the best that I can with the things that I have, and not letting things that I can't control or that I don't have be in the way of what I can actually achieve. So this was very true when I started this project. I thought it would be a complete flop. I thought I would be left at, but I was going towards something that for me it was worthwhile. So I just did the best, and I still do the best I can with what I have. Sometimes I fail, sometimes I learn from it. Sometimes it sucks. But at least I may not be the most successful, or this is actually true for workout as well. I may not be the one that pushes the highest weights or something, but I am the most efforts. I put in the most effort that I can with my limitations and abilities. So that is it.
Yeah. Super cool. It reminds me of a quote from Phil from Modern Family that says, "When life gives you lemonade, make lemons. Life will go like what?" So that's exactly it. Look, that's the quote right there. Like do what you can with whatever you have. Oh God, love it. So last question, and before we just close the show for today. So Miriam, one question that you would like to do to Cristina, and Cristina, you can answer or not, but just pressure off. Everyone always answers, so you can be the first one not to. No pressure. And Cristina, if you could think of a question that you would love to do to Miriam, so like the mic is yours now.
I'm not sure about a question per se, but I think me and Cristina can think about a project we are planning for next year. Perhaps that would be more interesting. I don't know. We, like I said in the beginning, we met at the tech community get together, and we immediately start talking. Oh, can we join both of our communities to do something really fun and special for girls in cybersecurity? We have only one person in cyber in our team, which automatically matched up with Women4Cyber, and we started creating a round of workshops in cybersecurity. So this is something I'm very excited for next year. I know Women4Cyber are as well. It's fun to see how this will be, creating like real hackers, really real mini hackers, Portuguese mini hackers, getting them possibly interested in following up with his careers, going on competitions. So I'm very excited on what the next Mrs. Robots will look like in the future. And I'll give the word to Cristina. I'm not sure if you'd like to add something, please.
Yes, so this it's important to say that was Miriam's idea. She challenged us to have this project, and we couldn't be happier to join this initiative as supporters in the cybersecurity field, because it's our mission in the end. So to help girls to, in their interest, get involved in cybersecurity and support women who wants to do their career change in any of the fields. So we are very proud. This is actually one of our favorite projects for the next year. It's free training, so the economic part is not a problem to anyone. It's online, so no matter where you are, you can join it. So we are definitely, it's going to be during the weekend, so you can just focus on your full-time job and then work on the next project and become the next super hacker, Portuguese super hacker. So maybe we will have a Maria Pinto. We don't know. No, I'm joking.
Yeah.
We want to. That's very legal. No, I'm joking. But yeah, we are super proud of it. We are really enthusiastic. We think it's going to be huge. Also, the foundation launched in this month the Women4Cyber Academy, which is also that will be supporting us for this project. So it's going to be really strong, built on also other partners that will be also giving their people with their knowledge to support these students. So I don't know, spread the word. We are working on it, and it will be fun.
This is
and
the
inside
most fun. Yeah, to get communities together to work. This was the main goal of the get together. Instead of being competitors in some way, that's not at all the point, but start brainstorming solutions together and making things happen.
Love this energy.
To Miriam, what was the worst Christmas gift you received?
Oh wow, that's a good one.
Shots fired. Okay. The worst gift I received.
It's always socks, isn't socks?
I like socks actually. Yeah. Okay. I can say this. The worst gift I ever received was like a jewelry box, because our someone who's here and can't see me. Okay, but I don't wear makeup or jewelry or any type of that thing, so I just kept that box that my aunt gave me like 4 years. It's still there untouched. I don't know what to do with it. It looks like a chandelier or something, really pretty. I can't give it away because I feel bad, and so it just stands there to remind me of someone I could be in a parallel world, I guess.
Advice: don't sell it on OLX, otherwise you'll most likely
be hacked.
Exactly. So I think this is it. Perfect ending for today's show. From myself and Sarah, it was great to be with you, Cristina and Miriam, and and both Women4Cyber Portugal and Raparigas do Código. I think it was fantastic to know a little bit more about communities, about how two communities, share a common theme and can really work together. And yes, and I think that's it. That's today's show. I hope everyone really enjoyed it. And if you have any sort of questions or so, reach out. And see you in the next episode. Thank you both.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.